Hello and welcome to HCD Robustness Test Meeting. Today we have January 15. Happy New Year, the first meeting in 2025. And we have a couple of things on our agenda. I added them relating to recent things that happened, but still, if you have any questions and answers similar to the community meeting, feel free to post them. We are happy to help you and answer any questions relating to the robustness test. Yeah. So today, if we look at the recent issues, the robustness meetings, we have a couple of them, or at least two, and the one is the big one. So totally randomly looking through during review, I noticed that there is a surprising flake, and this flake is not a flake due to error in a PR, but a flake in the robustness test. So this led me through a rabbit hole to discover that one of the previous issues that we looked at relating to the compaction of the lead operations still not always emits an event, which is if we look at the and maybe the new thing in the robustness test. Now I created a page where you can look at all the issues that we have or we have found and solved previously. There is a what's dropping an event. So this is like reappearance of the same issue, but just a different edge case that was not handled. I don't know. Fue, do you? I know. Me personally, I don't know too much about the issue. I'm just trying to follow and understand the results. We are getting into edge case of edge case of edge case. My high level understanding, we are not properly handling compaction during restore, batched restore. So normal restored from a batched compaction. So compaction can be done in multiple stages, batches, which was designed for scalability testing. And it can, to avoid doing a lot of work at once, we can do batches, but maybe can you talk a little bit more if you have context?
Yeah, I think I can share my screen.
Sure.
Okay. Wait for a minute. Oh, someone else is sharing. You can.
Okay. Let me stop. Try now.
Okay. All right. I might need to restart. So wait for a moment. Okay, I need to rejoin. Sorry about it.
No problem. Yeah. So let's wait a minute. So yeah, this is surprising. The issue is surprising from a couple of perspectives. First, it took us, the bug, the original bug was from solved from 6 months ago, and we solved it. It took us a while, but it's at least a couple of months old. It's through robustness test, so at least one of the issues was we were not running the traffic. Not running the traffic to detect it, and Fue is back, so maybe we can look at.
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. I think what I see the very interesting things is since we set a fail point, right? So it will panic when the compaction is finished. But very interesting things before the compaction. There are only two types of the request. One is the creation, and other one is deletions. Even though we wait for a second, let's see. Oh, oh, sorry. Let me go to the test. Scenario. Yeah, for this one, basically okay. Sorry, we need to check it out. So basically, we have we should have a lot of updates, right? But in the fail case, we didn't see update the request before panic. So I use the SD down blocks to check. You can see the modified revision is 0. So that means this kind of request is try to create a new key, right? So you can see a lot of creation, and there's no any updates, and then a lot of deletions. So there's no updates, right? And then we get the compaction request. Yeah, you can see there a lot of request deletes, and oops, almost there. Okay, a lot of deletion and then compaction. So since we set the batch, so for the one key creation revision has been deleted in the one batch compaction, and then as the panic, and then as they restarted. But when SD try to restore all the keys from the DB on the database, that key has only one revisions for the tombstone, and key index will ignore it because he doesn't have any history. So let's see. Let's go back to the restore things here and here. You can see if that key is about tombstone, it will not insert to the index key. So even if we have the tombstone revision in the database, but after SD try to restart it and try to resume the previous compaction, and let's go and then before we delete the key, right? We'll try to get which key we should keep it, but this line here. Sorry, the line 30 here. And since we didn't load that key into the key index, so this value this map will not have the keys. So after we try to resume the compaction, the tombstone will be deleted. I think, yeah.
Okay, makes sense for me.
Yeah, so I think the weird thing is why before there's a lot of requests, but I didn't see any update request. So for each key, they have two revisions. One is creation, and other one is tombstone. So that's, I think that's why we hit this issues.
Okay, so to make sure I understand, this happens in a case that a key, let's say a single key, was
Yes,
only created once, never
yes,
updated, and then
yes,
deleted.
yes,
And then we have a compaction, but the compaction is a batch
yes,
compaction. So it
yes,
that doesn't that is interrupted, which means after the restore, this key will not be handled properly because we will not load it into the index.
yes.
And it happens only, just to clarify, because in this case that you described on the wall log, it happened to all the keys. Is it that on, can it happen on a single key if it was created and then deleted, or every key in the database needs to be created and deleted?
I think it's happening to the every keys when they only have the since we set, let's say, since we set the compassion on the specific revision, right? So basically, before this revision, we should, if they are the tombstone, we should delete it, right? But 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 if this revision is also a tombstone, we should keep it because um, we want to send the deletion event to the current. So we need to keep it. But for these keys, there's no history about the creation or
Mhm.
updates. So we didn't load it into the key index. And then
Oh,
yeah,
so this specific key.
yes, I think it's for the specific key.
Okay, so if the key or compaction needs to happen on a key that was only created and never deleted and never updated,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it needs to go into not the into later batches, not the first. It cannot be, or it needs to be not processed before the crash.
Yes.
Oh my god, it gets really really complicated, even for me, how many edge cases we can see. Maybe it just informs us how, like, how complicated the code base is, and maybe we could work on it to make it simpler. I'm still, I had discussion today with one of the people at, like one of the people at Google, that do we really need tombstones? Like, why we complicate our life so much? But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't, like, I would need to read the code and remember, because I read it once why we had tombstones and I don't remember the answer. But I'm not sure we, like, the tombstones are anything special other than marking that the key was deleted, or
I
okay.
think it's just like soft deletion, right? Just mark it has been deleted, but we still need this data for the events. So we just mark it as tombstone.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, that's usually the purpose of tombstone. I'm just even thinking like the tombstone as a special type of revision that is a tombstone, like a revision, and which I mean is the delete has a or revision in the database has a suffix of t for tombstone, which is not only marking the delete is not only marked as a delete, but also within the contents of the transaction, but also on the revision side, which is very weird. Which is the so-called the tombstone. It's type of revision. Maybe we do that to avoid parsing. I know. Maybe that's a strange optimization.
Mm.
That would make sense. Yeah. Strange optimization to avoid reparsing the contents of database if we are compacting or analyzing the database. Oh man, interesting.
I think the most interesting thing is we already said the update request should be have a very high priority, right? But we didn't see it.
Mhm.
Let's go back to here. Yeah, you can see updates has a very high priority, but I didn't see any requests about it.
Is this possibly caused by the bug that you found in the robustness test relating to the Kubernetes traffic, setting the revision? I mean,
Still
I don't
needs.
think so. Because
Uh,
you send a PR and
I think the PR just is not related to it, but I don't. You mean I try to update the revision to the zero, right? But
mhm.
I'm not sure it's related to this case. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just asking because the issue started, to give everyone context, I'm discussing a PR that Fue sent today, fixing changing traffic that was correlating with that there was a change in how like Kubernetes traffic or like we rewrote a layer, uh, and it introduced a bug that changed like in the operation or optimistic concurrency request. And I'm asking because it correlates exactly to the day when we discovered the issue, which was
Oh,
on
yeah.
9th of January. Yes, which is, or at least not discovered, is the first time that the issue appeared in tests, which is very weird that it took so long.
Yes.
And but also it's on the other side. Have you looked on all the flakes and all of them are missing?
I checked the several fail pipeline runs. They have the same pattern as just I mentioned. That's a lot of creation, a lot of deletion, no updates.
Mm.
Yeah, I think if we can create this kind of the traffic, maybe we can reproduce it.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds as a simple thing just to create a dedicated traffic for just creations and deletions.
Yeah.
I think even someone added it, but no, we are adding it for other issue. Looks like a thing. Yeah. Yeah. Are there any questions from community about the bug itself?
Do we run a regression test for Proud that they only see exploratory tests?
Uh, so we on the fact that I found the issue just by looking at during review was due to the fact that the regression test I limited them to or I assumed that explore we have a regression test that try to look for the old issues and we want to make them healthy, so I don't want someone to break them, I know, because of configuration or changes. So I just ran them on pre-submit or like on a PR, and I assume that they're exploratory tests that are supersets of all the combinations of configurations, so they always should reproduce. But apparently they are not a superset, and it's very easy to, or it's possible to misconfigure them. And I misconfigured them in some way that I know avoided creating the same similar traffic. So yeah, the answer is we don't run on. We run a regression test on pre-submits, but not on periodics. Does it make
Okay.
sense?
Should we add them to
So
the test?
I'm thinking about, or I don't know. I'm open to suggestion. That's why I opened the. Hmm,
Yeah, so the traffic could be random, like the ways pattern. Yeah, so I think the regression test just, I don't know exactly. I don't think it's we have.
So I'm trying to I think Foy can or stop
Yeah.
sharing. Let me. Are you? I see a couple of solutions. I'm open to suggestions because I run the test like a lot of times, or there are couple of issues, and I wanted to start from the fact that, or I spent from the main issue. I created a separate issue to discuss and try to discuss how and why we are not able to reproduce the issue. I think I originally added why if we should like around this, so we can discuss it further. Um, there are two layers of approaches. You said traffic. We definitely need to figure out if changing the traffic, as Fue described, is increasing the reproducibility. So making only creations and deletions as a dedicated case. Because we are still not able, this is not reproducible at all, like at least for me. So I think I ran, a couple hundreds times the issue, and I also even sent test grid tests to. Oh, where are they? Yeah, I even configured pre-submits to run them in many more instances, or I sent the PR that was making the issue we filter by regexp. So this is the only test that was able to generate this type of traffic and was causing flakes like this. And okay, for some reason we don't see it, but yeah, I created a PR that ran that issue like 10 times and ran at least it's like 500 times the test, and it doesn't reproduce. So I'm still baffled by it. But yeah, we can fix the traffic. So that's one case. If we fix the traffic, and then we should make sure that this exact edge case is running in the exploratory scenario, or exploratory scenarios covers this configuration and is able to reproduce it, which is not an easy thing to check or prove. And the other thing I'm considering is making the periodics run all the tests, but then but pick from all the pool of the tests with some weights, because currently the problem is we how the tests run are there. We generate like around 10 scenarios for exploratory tests and around 10 scenarios for regressions, and we run and as a scenario it's a separate test case. So when we to run the test for to run the test in pre-submits, we run them 10 times regression tests. So that gives us around 100 runs or 120, and that gives us around 20 minutes of testing regressions. On the periodic side, we run exploratory, but we run, I think, 100 times or whatever, some number, 80 times or some high number, which gives us 300. The problem is like the number of repeats is hard-coded in test infra, which makes it hard to change or adjust number of test cases that we run. So if we wanted to run the test cases from one to the other, sometimes someone needs to take and recalculate how many unique scenarios that we have, how on average all of them take, multiply it by number of counts, and estimate if it fits within like 3 hours timeout. So I'm thinking, oh, can we make it? Can we create one scenario that randomizes from the other? And that's non-trivial. That's a second, but it's trivial, but it's not exactly one choice, and it's hard to say if it's how much benefit we have for running running regression scenarios. And my third idea is, I think Han at some point suggested that we shouldn't randomize, we should just run all the cases. And that is good and bad, but the good thing is we would have 100% of confirmation that we validated each exact scenario, like each edge case with each configuration at least once, which has been like the good side is we have full like confirmation that we didn't at some reconfiguration or some small change, we didn't lose any edge case because we would see it exactly with number of scenarios. The bad side is that we lose control over how long the tests run. So yeah, if someone has any suggestions, I would be interested to discuss them. The only other approach I have seen is maybe adjusting the Golang fuzzing tests, which have a different approach. I think they, instead of explicitly giving count of how many times they should run, you control the tests by time that you want the test to be run, which would be better for our case because we are basically fuzzy. Like we want a caller to say, run me the robustness test for an hour, and I don't care what scenarios that you run, and it would be, and from robustness test it would be just nice to know, oh, we have 1 hour, let's run like scenarios one by one, and even if it's random or if we go them sequentially, it doesn't matter. I mean, sequentially would be good to have confirmation and validation that you run at least all of them, but you would have with predictable number of rounds. Yeah.
Yeah, so if we know that compaction is like the most code path that we're not familiar with, or like we're not sure, maybe we should give it more weight during the test. Like identify several risky areas that we want to have a test.
Yes. I don't know if I discussed it where I wrote it, but yeah, I would want to have better coverage of watch, compaction and watch. So possibly like definitely from what, based on Fue, have a separate traffic type for the only puts and deletes. And second thing, there is a separate ongoing PR that someone is working on adding additional reproduction for one of the historical cases. Yeah. And based on their research and my validations, they are suggesting to increase the period of compaction to or increase the frequency of compaction from like 200 milliseconds. The period would move from 200 milliseconds, or running it once every 200 milliseconds, to run it every 100 milliseconds. I even suggested it to I would even lower it. Is it? Here, yeah, he added it. Decorator, or yeah. So I would consider it going even lower to run it and running it every 50 milliseconds or even more frequent. The only downside of it causes more pressure on the storage and might cause even lower QPS. So the solution I've been slowly moving forward is, I think it was a very bad idea of mine to separate traffic from profile, I assume that we can keep them independent because traffic only cares about the methods, and profile causes QPS or weather compaction, some things. And I think we should combine them back and have a dedicated tests for watch, and those tests for watch should include like traffic that with dedicated traffic just to reproduce this issue, and with high compaction frequency and maybe lower QPS requirements. So start adding traffic patterns that are specific to reproduce, maybe not like tens of them, but like 5, maybe 10, which would be to reproduce specific cases. Does it make sense?
It sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. So if anyone is interested, those are simple changes. They're just like mostly piping things through and making decisions. But from implementation standpoint, that would be good. So maybe it would be good to write some ideas if you have any. So I mentioned at least combine fig and profile as they don't they dependent. Create put delete traffic and I think those like high level. I also mentioned at the beginning with the and running as part of this. So I mean, to maybe look if someone doesn't have context or are just interested about is this back impacting them. High level, it's very obscure issue that I don't think anyone would hit, because as before, as even in the previous issue, it only happens if you run compaction yourself, and it happens on delete. And here, even further, if the key didn't have any updates, it was directly deleted. So I don't think there will be high priority put on. It will be treated as a critical bug. The main thing was like triaging it was the critical point, because we didn't have any context on why it happens. Okay. So are there any other questions relating to the bug, or any people interested in contribute or in looking into those ideas? Okay. Let me maybe look at there is someone added note. There is a pending issue relating to the documentation. Is this PR not needed? I haven't Oh, I forgot to update it. I mean, it's a good question. Which part, like, it has some suggestions for, and I understand the author had was confused because I know they were not used to make file setup from etcd, and I think that's a valid concern. So I don't know if in the current state if it's useful, but maybe some of the parts. Let me check. Yeah. So I don't know if in the current state, I don't know if I would like it's good to merge, but if I think we could take the feedback that we could improve it. And I'm just logging in to let me refresh the page. Yeah, so is the author of the PR on the call or someone just asked it? Okay.
I'll confess me just asking because of the comment in there around the author thinking they could just close it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, let me just write it down. But yeah, if the new contributor, I don't know if they will follow up. It was just lost. Okay. If there are no other questions, I think we can look at the robustness tests. So yeah, mostly aside of the issue, the tests were mostly green up to some point where there was one of the changes or introduction in the of the new fail point, which was member downgrade, was causing flakiness. I think that to make sure that we still can get signal from the test, I think we can try to filter them out. I don't know if it's the problem because the test name is repeated just without suffix. We don't see all the tests here are member downgrade. So it looks like all the tests here, we could assume that they were just flakes caused by member downgrade, which was fixed on like last week. So assuming that all the tests here were green, here it's the same situations, or the flakes were caused by member downgrade. And we don't test member downgrade in other cases. There is one flake, 3.4, and one flake on arm on 3.4. But I assume this is member. Yeah, this is member replace. Is the previous one member replaced too? There is some more complications. Okay. So yeah, we have a once every blue moon we have a QPS issue. That's interesting. That we got so low. I don't know if the tests would make sense if we just we reduce it further, but maybe that's another consideration. So I think this is example of bad lottery. We just rolled the bad silicon, and we got, instead of getting around 100 QPS, which all the passing tests running hundreds of times, or hundreds of time of iterations are able to hit 100 kps, but from time to time we don't hit even 30. Yeah, I don't think we can address it reasonably. So let me just note it. 3 cases of low GPS. Just note it to collect the data for the future meetings, so that we know what is happening. There is an issue, one issue when member replace. And one issue is QPS. And so the only thing that I think is actionable is the member replace. I think on one of the previous meetings we have managed to root cause it. Or we plan to fix it. No. So this issue was meant to fix member, at least member replace. Member list. Okay. That's not great. If we look at the time of the, so we have a flake member replace that what happened after. So that's looks like either original root cause was not accurate, but we definitely have seen many more of those issues. So we look at the cases we had, a lot of QPS issues, but member replace. We had 1, 2, or minimal QPS. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 issues. Okay, but I don't. If someone has any ideas, let me know. But I'm not up to date. The original cause of member replace failing on 3.4 directly is the fact that we wrote the member replace test for 3. On main branch, and the test assumed that you can read the state of the list of the members and get accurate results immediately without any delays. And it doesn't work on 3.5. The reason is that by default, the member list is not linearizable on 3.4, but is linearizable on 3.5. Or at least I think so. The code doesn't also imply it because the default is linear. That would be interesting that if default linearizable is true. Maybe clients, maybe clients are sending linearizable true. But this means that we need to add delay, and the fix that was implemented was by forcing a linearizable request by requesting a get before making a member list, but apparently this is not enough. If someone is interested in debugging it, yeah, you can take a look, but we could also file an issue or reopen the issue. Maybe add it and we can close the yeah, let me just open it. I think that's all from me. Are there any other topics that we want to discuss? Any questions? Any new people? Anyone lost? Okay. Okay. I hope things were at least semi-understandable. Yeah. So thanks everyone for attending. You can, if you have any questions and feel shy, please, you can still ask us on Slack. We are open to discussion either on the main Slack, or you can ask maintainers or like any people that are involved in the work directly. Hopefully we could help you clarify, or if you're interested in the issues, please feel free to reach out to me or any people, so we can make sure that we can give you context that is missing from the bug, and make everyone efficient efficient distributed system expert, hopefully at some point. Yeah, thanks everyone. Hope you have great local time, and see you in 2 weeks.